get together. Doesn't matter the weather. So let's get to it now. Gotta figure out what to do. The Addicts, fantasy football. The Addicts, fantasy. The Addicts, ooh, we know all. The Addicts, it's fantasy.
And welcome to the Addicts, a fantasy football podcast. We are addicted to all things fantasy football. It is Friday, November 7th, and Dalton, we were wrong. We were wrong about the trade deadline. Haven was
I'm glad.
right.
I was right,
Yeah.
man. I
He
was
was
right.
So glad to be wrong.
It was
Thank
a great
goodness.
trade deadline. We got a lot of motion, a lot of movement. It was the most we've seen in a long time.
A lot of
So
You
Haven
got
defensive
motion,
moves.
twin.
A lot of it was defensive, so maybe not fantasy implications, but we saw a lot of stuff happen. So, Haven, we got to give you your flowers. You were right.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm glad the Jets listened to this podcast and they decided, let's trade everything away. Let's trade all our pieces besides one. And I'm so sad Brees Hall,
The-
he's still a Jet.
The one that we all cared about.
We all the
wanted
one
to
that
be
we
traded.
cared about. But
I-
Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams traded. They got a lot of draft picks and
Yeah.
they're loaded.
Defensive
I had-
fire sale.
Yeah, I had Isaiah Davis in so many leagues, so I was hoping that Brees Hall got traded, but he got cut in a lot of leagues today.
What's even crazier is no one even knew Sauce Gardner was even on the market. That was a surprise
Yeah,
to everybody.
that
Yeah,
was
Quentin
crazy.
very
Because they
surprised.
just
Quentin
gave him a
Williams.
contract raise.
Well, they just paid Quentin Williams a few years ago, and then they just paid Sauce Gardner. So it was like that. No one saw that coming. And then Quentin Williams, it was floated out there, but then they kind of shot it back down. I was hearing names like Brees Hall and Jermaine
Mhm.
Johnson, their defensive end, and neither one of them got moved. Instead, it was like two of their most high profile players, other than like Garrett Wilson. So it was quite surprising. I mean, they just sold the house, man.
So are
Yeah.
you dropping Isaiah Davis? So
I
here,
dropped him in.
I want to start us off with a good question. Just get us rolling. Get our
Let's get
tongues feeling frizzy. What
What are
Team.
they feeling?
frizzy?
Our tongues?
A little bit. A little frazzled. What teams are you keeping the handcuff for? Because Isaiah Davis is Brees Hall's handcuff. If Brees Hall gets hurt, you're getting Isaiah Davis. Everyone's trading money for the fab. They're
Yeah.
going to try and get him up. We're getting to that point of the year where if your star player gets hurt, you better have you want to have a good option too. So what running backs are you keeping the handcuff for?
So I think two are obvious. I think the best handcuffs in the league are one, Brian Robinson for the 49ers. McCaffrey has dealt with injuries his entire career, and that's a great offense. So he is my number one handcuff. Two is Tyler Algier for
Yeah.
the Falcons for Bijan. He hasn't dealt with
Mhm.
injuries, but we've seen him be good in that offense. And I
Yep.
think they have a good running offense. So I think those are the two major ones that I would be stashing.
Can
What
you
do you think,
tell
Dalton?
me who Jonathan Taylor's backup is?
Gibbons is his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Gibbons. He was a healthy scratch a week or two ago. They're
Oh.
using like Amir Abdullah and
Amir Abdullah, Tyler
some
Goodson,
other random.
DJ Giddens,
Yeah,
and Salvin
and
Ahmad.
that was going to be my
Giddy.
answer. Is I'm rostering, especially late in the season. I'm rostering any running back that is the clear and obvious step once the starter goes down. If they are then the main starter, I'm rostering those guys. For example, Blake Corum, Shell Tootin
Yeah.
for the Jags. All these
Mhm.
guys who are the clear backup, those are the guys I'm rostering. If the starter goes down and then it's just a random guess of two or three, maybe even four guys, no, I'm not dealing with that. There's no reason to roster them because you could be wrong at the end of the day. So I'm
Yep.
rostering anybody who is the direct, immediate backup that stepped right into that same starting role. Tyler Algier is a great example because he's been great in the past and he can do it. He's not going to be
Mhm.
Bijan, but he can
Mhm.
absolutely step into that workload because he's done it before.
Yeah,
Well-
that's right. I mean, to think of an example for this week, we're seeing James Cook is questionable for this week, and so you have to make the decision who's the backup.
Mm-hmm.
It should
So, I
be
mean,
Ray Davis.
This
Yeah,
one's tough.
The options
one's
are
really
Ray
tough.
Davis
Those are
or Ty
tougher.
Johnson, and Ty
Yeah.
Johnson has got majority of the work as the backup this year.
Mhm.
But we saw last year when James Cook got banged up and missed a couple weeks, it was Ray Davis. So
Yeah.
who do you start? I mean, in my cutthroat league, I'm having to start one of these guys. And I have to make that decision if hopefully James Cook misses, so I have an opportunity in that league. But even then, who's the guy? I don't know. But like to Dalton's point, you want to target these backups that you know are the clear-cut guy. If you're going to stash a handcuff, make sure it's a guy that is the clear-cut guy if that injury actually happens. We don't want injuries, but that's the purpose of stashing.
Brian Robinson, 33% owned. Tyler Algier, 37% owned. So you're in those leagues that are the 60+% that does not have him, pick him up. Get that handcuff.
If you're already locked in a playoff spot and you have an empty bench where you have a random player that's not ever going to crack your starting lineup, it's way better to go ahead and grab one of these handcuffs because if they suddenly become the starter in the middle of playoffs or right before playoffs, you have a free running back and everyone else in your league doesn't.
Yep, that's right. Let's get into some of the trade implications of this trade deadline. The two major ones that impact us for fantasy are Jacoby Myers to the Jets and then Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks, which I think Dalton was one of his trade wish lists to be traded away from the Saints. So I'll ask Haven first. Which one of these guys do you think has a bigger impact for rest of season for redraft leagues?
I think it's going to be Rashid Shaheed. As much as I love my boy Torrey Horton, their wide receiver pool is just so it's nothing. They don't have really any pieces.
After JSN.
After JSN, yes. So you're now having a guy who can stretch the field really well. That was what he was really good at with the Saints.
Two of them. Yep, they have two guys that can stretch the field. Torrey Horton is that guy, and then Shaheed is that second guy. I mean, they look great as an offense now.
So you add this man who has some burst. He's still young. Put him on your team. Let him get some reps. I think he can really flourish in the Seahawks. One thing the Seahawks have always done is they always have had three receivers that they really count on. And so now you kind of got your core and you're not having to put Cody White out there anymore. Who did get you a touchdown last week? While Jacoby...
One reception, one touchdown.
One tutty. While Jacoby, he is a little bit older. He does not drop the ball, which is great because the Jaguars lead the NFL in drops with 30.
Dude, tell me about it.
So Brian Thomas Jr. is banged up right now. You have Travis on IR. This is a great time to put Jacoby into a situation where he can be a reliable option for Trevor Lawrence, who
I saw a
is not
report
reliable
about
at all.
Jacoby that he's going to play this week, which is kind of surprising that players can literally get shipped and then immediately play. Apparently, he's going to play more of an outside receiver role right away, and that Parker Washington is going to play more of a slot role. So if you're having to start a Jags wide receiver, because I don't expect Travis Hunter or Brian Thomas to start this week, I'm starting Parker Washington this week before Jacoby Myers. I'm not playing him immediately his first week there, and him playing some random, probably fake outside role where he's just going to draw coverage. I'm not starting him yet, but I would absolutely stash Jacoby Myers if you have an open spot. I'm not dropping him for good players, but definitely see what happens. I mean, you don't trade for a guy and not use him, so I would imagine the Jags are going to have to use him because their two starting wide receivers are now hurt.
Yep. And they're 5-2, or they're probably their record's a little bit I think it's 6-2 now. So they need they're still competing. This isn't like they're going to give up. So that was a really good move for them. Do like Parker Washington. I think he's a really, really good option this week.
To Haven's point about who was the better option going forward, Rashid Shaheed, they had Cody White as one of their top options last week. So I had never heard of him before. So Rashid Shaheed should be a good option going forward. It's great for Sam Darnold, who is really good at the deep ball, having Rashid Shaheed as being an option for the deep ball. All right, boys, let's do a little trivia time.
Trivia.
I have the trivia this week, and I have a pretty interesting one. Y'all ready?
Let's hear it.
All right, so we're gonna do 5 hints for this player, and you are trying to guess the player. Okay. After each hint, you can lock in the player, and whoever locks in first and gets it correct is the winner of the trivia round.
Okay.
All right. So hint number 1: this player has more than 4 targets twice this year.
God,
that's like 90% of the league.
Anyone want to lock it in?
Let me just give you almost every single starting receiver right now.
All right. This player, hint number 2, is currently number 6 at his position.
Okay.
So that should give you a pretty good hint about what position this player is at.
No, it doesn't, because it could be almost any running back or receiver.
Or tight end.
We're two hints in, and I don't even have a clue of what position this is.
I think it should help ruling out a position if this player has only received 4 or more targets twice this year and is number 6 at his position. It should rule out a position.
I mean, I immediately gravitate to either it's a running back or it's a really low receiver.
Let's just hit number 3. Come on.
Okay. Number 3, this player has 7 touchdowns on the year.
7 total touchdowns. This is counting rushing and receiving.
I will tell you, he only has receiving touchdowns.
Okay.
Only has receiving?
Go back through all of them again. Recap.
Okay. Let's go through the first 3 hints. This player has more than 4 targets only twice this year. This player is currently number 6 at his position.
I know who it is. I'm locking it in.
This player has 7 touchdowns on the year, and I will caveat that as they are all receiving touchdowns. So you should know the position.
I just texted you.
All right. Hint number 4. This player is number 1 at his position, has been number 1 at his position on a weekly basis twice in the past 5 weeks.
I feel really good about my guess.
Does Haven have it?
I'm not going to reveal it till the end.
Yeah.
You can just say if he has it or not, yes or no.
I don't want to reveal it till the end. All right, Dalton, how confident are you feeling about locking it in?
I don't have a name.
All right, the 5th hint will give it away. All right, the 5th hint. This player's first name is the same name as a division rival.
So I was wrong.
You were wrong. Let's go. All right, for Dalton and the listener's sake, let's go through the 5 hints so far.
Oh,
My head hurts.
I know who it is.
Okay,
let's go. I know. I'm gonna text you.
Okay.
Dalton gets a guess, but
Dalton gets a guess because you were wrong, Haven. Let's go through the 5 hints. This player has more than 4 targets twice this year, so not very many targets. This player is currently number 6 at his position. This player has 7 touchdowns on the year, all receiving. He has been number 1 at his position on a weekly basis twice in the past 5 weeks. And this player's first name is the same name as a division rival. And I would give you the hint that the name I'm referring to is not the nickname for the team of the city.
This is so easy, Dalton. Come on.
Yeah, you should get this, Dalton.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't have a name.
Can I say who it is?
Haven can say who it is.
It's Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert. So that was the hint for number 5 was...
That did give it away. That gave it away.
I'm disappointed in you, Dalton.
Come on. I really thought it was Mark. My first answer was Mark Andrews.
That was close. I mean, he has a lot of the same attributes and stats that Dallas Goedert has. But let's look up Dallas Goedert's stats over the past couple of weeks. He's been one of those guys. It's like, can you start? Can you not start? Is he a locked-in guy at your tight end position? So he's missed a week, and he's had the week 9 bye, and he's still number 6 at his position.
What was that first clue you gave?
More than 4 targets only twice this year.
He's literally had 7 targets, 9 targets, 11 targets, and 4 targets.
Okay, that should have been receptions.
Y'all are over here making me feel like an idiot, and then you gave the wrong stat.
Yeah, targets should have been receptions. That's bad on me. So Dallas Goedert has...
Is it Bucky because of the Bucks? And I'm like, he hadn't played enough games, and I'm like, who in the hell could it be?
Yep, scratch that. Should have been receptions. That's on me.
Whoopsie doozles.
So Dallas Goedert has had more than 10 fantasy points in every week except for 1. And the 1 was against Minnesota where he had 5 fantasy points.
He's got that same kind of pixie dust that Dalton Kincaid has on him where they constantly put up points, but you don't really know how because they're not getting enough targets. They're not getting enough yards. They kind of just score touchdowns conveniently where they don't get yards. And then you look at their stat line and they're like, oh, they're scoring so much every week. And you go look at their usage and you're just like, ugh, they're not doing enough. And it's just like, that's not a comfortable start, but somehow the points just kind of work out.
So to the receptions point I was trying to allude to, not targets, he has had, let's go week by week, 7, 1, 4, 3, 9, 3, and 3. So more than 4 receptions in only 2 weeks. It's risky, to say the least. He's been relying on those touchdowns, which have been there all year. So it's more of the risk of, do you think he's going to score a touchdown or not? This week for week 10, he's playing against Green Bay, who is a advantageous matchup for him.
I can tell you who's not scoring touchdowns. That's A.J. Brown and Saquon, because those managers are incredibly frustrated right now because Dallas Goedert keeps falling into the end zone.
I mean, he's been pretty consistent. Tight ends, my rule is if they give me 10 points, I'm happy. He's had every week but one with 10 points or more. And he averages 14.41 points per game. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to trade for a tight end if I have Dallas Goedert. I'd just stick in my lineup and pray he gets a touchdown.
But you go look at what he's doing. He's only had over 40 yards receiving twice. He's doing nothing except falling into the end zone. It's incredibly lucky.
That's what Mark Andrews did last year. Mark Andrews was a really solid tight end.
It's just incredibly hard to bank on that happening every single week. And the fact that he has 7 touchdowns is insane.
Yep.
That's wild.
In my opinion, he's a trade away target.
Yeah.
That's fine. I would trade him away. I would be trying to trade for a tight end if I have Dallas Goedert and giving up a wide receiver or a running back and have Dallas Goedert go to my bench. I'm good with trading.
Dallas Goedert and a bag of chips to go get a sandwich. That's what I would do.
You don't buy him. You either hold or you sell. I think he's a fine hold. If you can get somebody that's tight end needy that can see all these fantasy points and don't look at the receptions and yardage total, he could be a great sell.
Just don't look at it.
Well, that's
disregard what I said about targets. This is a podcast sponsored by Basil Hayden.
Well, to go to your point, this is the time of year where you can really, trades are happening. I'm in a league where we had, I think, the most trades I've ever seen in a 2-day period. And what you can do in this time is, we're in week 9, trade deadlines week 11 for most team leagues. A guy that I would be, if I have him, I'm trying to trade him away for is Keenan Allen. He is technically the wide receiver 10 on the year. He has 14 points per game, but in his past, since week 4, he has had 1 week above top 40. And he is the wide receiver 10.
Yeah.
These are guys, you need to be looking your team and looking at these guys who have had a couple rough weeks and look at like his percentage for snaps. We're talking about Quentin. This is the guy you need to be looking at for look at their snap percentages. In the last 2 weeks, it was 25%, 37%. Quentin Johnson's staying on the field. Keenan Allen is not. Aronde is more affecting him.
The snap breakdown that I saw was in 1, 2, and 3 wide receiver sets, and Keenan Allen is really only in there for 3 wide receiver sets. Yep. So it looks like they're using Keenan Allen on matchups, and it's working. And so that's when he's getting all these points, but he's almost never on the field. Whereas Quentin Johnson, Ladd, they're on the field substantially more. And then Gadsden, he's on the field all the time. And his yards per route run is just ridiculous compared to when he's on the field, when he runs a route, and when he gets targeted. I love him. I love him. I love Gadsden
him
so much. I lost Tucker Kraft. He's in my Dynasty League, and I have Gadsden, and I'm so happy that I have both of them in Dynasty.
So if I'm a Keenan Allen owner, I am trading him away. Get him. Let people literally just go, oh, what has he been doing this year? See wide receiver 10, and hopefully they don't look deeper into it, because if
he's
you don't,
32-year-old receiver.
Yeah, he hasn't had his bye yet. He's about to drop down in those rankings pretty quickly. Get rid of him. Try to get him for a better piece. You can't really trade too far up and get a lot of value, but I'll be getting somebody at least relevant, because it's the Keenan Allen fun story at the beginning of the season's over.
Yep, completely agree. All right, boys, let's move into some news for the week. We'll start off with Kyler Murray. He is being transitioned to the IR. It's kind of surprising. He's been out for the past 2 weeks. Jacoby Brissett has been a really good quarterback. I think this is great news for Marv and for Trey McBride, who have both seen really good past couple weeks with Jacoby Brissett playing. I wanted to ask this question. What do y'all think the odds are that Kyler Murray is still the quarterback of the Cardinals next year? Dalton?
You can go first. All right, I'll go. I understand what it looks like. It looks like Kyler is terrible and the world is just crumbling around him, and everyone wants to just quickly say he sucks and he's definitely gone, and there's no way the Cardinals do anything with him going forward because Brissett looks so good. Let's remember, this is Jacoby Brissett. Okay? He could very easily this week or the next week just become a pumpkin and just become terrible again. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe we do need Kyler. And that sucks to say, too, because Kyler's looked terrible. Jacoby Brissett's operating the offense correctly, and it looks different with Brissett. I completely agree. The issue here is Kyler Murray's contract. They signed him to a very big deal that they cannot move off of. There's way too much dead money. They can't just trade him. Some team has to be willing to take on Kyler and that contract. And there's not that many teams that are open. I thought about this today. So you got the Saints and you got the Jets, both very bad teams that could need a quarterback. Both are loading up with picks and look like they're going to draft somebody. And they're in a full rebuild. They're not in a reload. They're in a rebuild, which means I think they're going to take a rookie. I don't think they're going to just trade for Kyler. Why would they do that? They're in a full rebuild. So then you got these teams that might be reloading. Okay, so you got the Raiders. That's assuming they move on from Geno. Very possible. Then you got the Steelers, a team that could move on from Aaron Rodgers. He's only on a 1-year deal, and he could retire. That's possible. So those are teams I could see Kyler going to. But they have to be willing to trade for Kyler. And I don't think this happens now. The trade deadline's passed, so it's going to happen in the offseason.
For sure.
So even if the Cardinals are sellers, that doesn't mean there's a buyer. So what I think the most likely scenario here is we get later into the year. Brissett hopefully looks good. He's probably going to have some bad weeks. Kyler comes back, and maybe there's a quarterback competition. I think they go into next year not being able to sell Kyler to anybody because nobody's going to pay for Kyler in draft capital or players or to take on his contract. And so we go into next year with maybe a quarterback competition, but I don't think Kyler leaves the Cardinals. So I would say a 50-50 that he's still with the Cardinals, maybe even 60-40, because I just don't know what teams are going to be trading for Kyler.
Yep. Completely agree. I think it's a 50-50 shot. I don't know if the Cardinals can move off of Kyler. I think they want to. I think that's true of the fact that they have been slow playing this injury, and they're like, wait, Jacoby's actually playing good. We're winning with him. Let's let Kyler get healthy. So they put him on the IR off of this injury, and they're just going to let Jacoby be the guy for the next 4 weeks. So I think they draft a guy or pick somebody up off of the waivers in the offseason or sign somebody that could be in that quarterback competition with Kyler. I don't know how realistic it is they could move off of Kyler after they sign that big extension with him.
Y'all didn't even mention the most important thing with this. COD is coming out. That's why Kyler's going on IR.
Wait, okay. I saw this the other day. Black Ops 7 is coming out.
Yes.
I've seen all of the commercials with who is it? The Rock that's in it.
Yes.
When did we get a Black Ops 4?
Brother,
we've been out of the
old,
game
man.
for a while.
Last Black Ops I remember was the Black Ops 3.
Black
I saw
Ops
a tweet
2 was
that
like
said,
peak for us.
if you ever need a clue that Black Ops 7 is going to be goated, this is the sign. And it was Kyler getting sent to IR.
Yeah, go ahead and buy your Black Ops 7. Even though
go
I
ahead
thought
and
we
invest because this game's about to be generational.
I thought we were on Black Ops 4. Okay, let's
Not
get
a
into some.
sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor. Let's get into the injury news. Bucky Irving, this is sad. He's trending to miss week 10 with week 11 still up in the air. It's been a little weird with the injury news coming out of the Buccaneers camp. He's still not practicing. He's rehabbing his shoulder/ankle injury. He's running now on his foot, so that seems to be fine. It's more of the shoulder injury issue. How confident are we with Bucky for the rest of the year?
They have to be wanting him to play if they're not putting him on IR. It does not make sense that he is not going on IR unless they're worried that if he came back too early and he got re-injured and he went on IR at that point, he's out for the year and he can't even play the playoffs.
Yeah. I think they've waited too long. I think they really haven't realized how bad this injury is or how long this injury would last. They just don't know. And that's the worst part is this guy isn't going to be put on the IR, so you can't put him on your IR in your fantasy lineup, and you just got to wait. So hopefully this wasn't a killer for you, and you're still afloat and in the playoff consideration for your fantasy leagues, and you can just wait it out.
The
a lot of
worst
these
part
NFL
is
teams, they only have so many injury reserve spots, and they've had a lot of injuries this year. I know their tackle, Tristan Wirfs, got hurt, Mike Evans, obviously, Chris Godwin. So they've had a lot of injuries. And so if they were hoping that Bucky was the most healthy out of all those players, which considering Chris Godwin's and Mike Evans' injuries, I mean, yeah, Bucky's healthier than them because Bucky hopefully can be back sooner than they will. They're not going to be back till playoffs, like NFL playoffs. So it's like they may not have enough injury spots. And so, yeah, they probably had hope that Bucky was going to be back, and it just didn't work out that way. It sounds like his foot is fine if he's already back running. It's the shoulder. It sounds like it's a labrum injury, so his shoulder keeps dislocating, which means he can't take any contact yet. So I would imagine he misses this week. Week 11, next week's probably up in the air, and then probably looking at like a week 12 or 13 return.
If you're a Bucky owner right now, what are you doing?
You hold. You hold.
Yeah.
You should have traded weeks ago in week 5 when you got hurt. So you got the opportunity to play somebody good for the past 6 weeks, but at this point, you're just waiting it out. If you're in a situation where you have 3 or 4 wins and you're trying to make the playoffs, to get some extra wins to make the playoffs, maybe in that situation you trade them to a team that has 6, 7 wins that can take a loss or two, for
That's
equal
kind of
value
what
to Bucky.
that's
But
kind of what I would do at this point. You if you're a 3 or 4 or even 5 win team, you are struggling right now at probably running back, and Bucky is, first off, he's not going on IR, so he's in your bench every week. You can't set your lineup until Sunday morning, or you're having to drop somebody, pick somebody up. It's a frustrating thing as a fantasy manager to have him. And then if he may just not come back, and you're talking about all these weeks, week 11 is usually the trade deadline for a lot of fantasy leagues. If you hold him after that point and they finally put him on IR, then you get nothing for him.
Yeah.
At least now you can get maybe an RJ Harvey. I know that's even gross to say.
that's
but
gross. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, but if you get something.
Yeah.
Because people, you gotta think, the people who are gonna be one, if you offered me Bucky Irving right now, what am I willing to give you to have that risk? And it's not
If
gonna be much.
yeah. Oh no, I think I think Bucky's value still holds a lot of weight. And the
It's
only way I'd be willing to trade him is if I'm a team that needs wins because I have 3, 4, 5 wins and I'm trying to make the playoffs. Trying to trade him to a team that has 6, 7, 8 wins, who's comfortable with taking a couple losses because they're comfortable being in the playoffs, and trade him of equal value. Bucky still holds a lot of weight because he was a late first, early second round pick, and when you get him back, he's expected to be that guy again. So don't trade him for an RJ Harvey. Don't trade him for somebody that is not of the equal value of Bucky. But if you are in a situation where you need wins, I would be willing to move off of him. But if not,
you're trading him to a contender that sees the name, sees the production, and thinks, oh my gosh, this is a person who could win me a fantasy championship. And you go get something from their team that they don't really want to give up, but they're willing to take it on because they know what Bucky can be. I'm concerned about re-injury. I mean, it sounds like he has a labrum injury, which you get surgery for, but you don't get surgery for during the season. You get it after the season. So re-injury risk is very possible. I think his shoulder is going to keep popping out. I think this is a situation kind of like Dalvin Cook had a couple years ago where he had to wear that brace thing and he was able to play with it, but it wasn't easy.
All right, let's roll through some of these other guys. Ricky Pearsall, he's not practicing yet this week. He's training to miss week 10. Hopefully you can get back for week 11. This is really sad to me. Ricky Pearsall had a lot of opportunity for this year starting out. I mean, he was a late first-round pick in last year's draft. DeJuan Jennings had the contract issues. He was not healthy in the offseason. We knew Brandon Ayuk was going to be out for a long time. George Kittle was out for a lot of this year. So it makes me sad because Pearsall had a good opportunity for the past couple of weeks and hasn't been able to produce because he's been injured. So I'm not super excited for him rest of season. It'll be great to get him back as a flex option, but not super excited. Brian Thomas, he's also trending to miss week 10. He has a low-grade ankle sprain. We'd be expecting him to miss another week or two, so fire up your Parker Washington, maybe Jacoby for the next couple weeks. James Cook, he's a game-time decision, so we need to be watching this. If he misses, it's the decision you have to make. Is it Ray Davis? Is it Ty Johnson?
Yeah, I expect him to be a game-time decision. Mostly because his injury, it seems like it's a foot/ankle. They haven't come out and said whether it's a low or a high ankle. He was limited Thursday. So I would monitor it and just be ready with a backup plan. But this is a situation where it could be a frustrating game time decision. They try to get him to go and he can't. So have a backup plan.
Even if he does miss, you've got to make that decision. Is it Ray Davis? Is it Ty Johnson? We don't really know. I think
or somebody else.
I think
or just somebody else on your bench.
I think one of them will be good. It's whoever scores a touchdown.
Yep.
Good luck picking the right one.
It's the Bills' offense in general.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, he's back at full practice. He's on track to play Sunday. I'd still feel comfortable playing both him and Monangai. They're playing the Giants.
Monangai is the RB16 through the last 4 weeks. So even when Swift was on the field before last week, Monangai's been a really good play. So
Yeah,
he's somebody
he's
with the
earned
trade
he's earned
waivers
more
coming
carries.
up too. I'll be watching really hard.
AJ
Definitely
Brown back to practice. He should be able to play this week. DJ Moore, same. He's on track to play. He was limited today, but every implication is that he's gonna be good to
he's
play.
fine.
He had a passing and rushing touchdown last week, not a receiving. So maybe he can produce more in that way. Terry McLaurin, very worried here. It's been a very weird situation out of the Commanders camp. He re-injured his quad strain. He's out this week for sure, most likely, and he's probably going to miss another 2 to 4 weeks. And even at that point, does Jaden Daniels make his return for a bad Commanders team? Yeah.
This is a guy to where if you really need to pick somebody up, I could see dropping. And that's mostly because he had the quad strain. These are notoriously bad for re-injuring. He's already re-injured it. So that means he's going to miss more time than he already did, if not the same amount of time. Already lost his quarterback because he dislocated his elbow. So I hate it for him, but this looks like the classic case of player missed all of training camp due to contract negotiations, and they're just constantly injured because their body was not ready for NFL speed and NFL hits. And it seems like he's breaking down. He's 29 years old, so this is not crazy.
He's
but
29.
I
Holy cow.
would considering dropping him if I really needed to start or really needed to move on to get ready for playoffs. I'm not suggesting that you drop him, but if your IR spot is full and you need somebody, you can drop him because I think he's going to miss more time than people are expecting.
Even if you can't drop him, trade him. You don't want to be dealing with this the rest of the year.
If you could trade him, do it.
I mean, get a bag. You can trade him. What'd you say? Trade him for a bag of chips.
I'd trade him for anything.
Hot take. I think he's a buy in Dynasty.
And at 29?
Yep. Because I think he is so cheap right now.
Well, they just extended him. They just extended him. So, I mean, he'll play until he's 32.
He'll play on the Commanders until he's 31, 32. And thinking about the Commanders defense, they are one of the oldest teams in the NFL right now. And majority of that is because of their defense. They are going to have to completely turn this defense over at the end of the year. I could see their defense being one of the worst teams, one of the worst defenses next year. And we always talk about you want a good offense with a bad defense. And so if you can go out and buy Terry McLaurin for cheap in a dynasty league right now, because you can sell that he's 29 years old.
He's cheap.
He's been injured all year. If I am a team that can trade a mid to late second round pick.
Let me read you. I'm going to keep trade cut. We talked about this side before. I'm going to list you the 4 options. They say players for even trade. You tell me you rather want Terry or Dave or the other player. Terry or David Montgomery.
Terry.
That's hard because it's position dependent. If I have good depth at running back, I'd probably want Terry McLaurin.
2026 mid second rounder or Terry.
That's what we were just talking about. Yep. Mid to late second round pick. I would trade that away for Terry McLaurin. If I'm on a
competitive team.
If I think I can compete next year.
If I'm not on a competitive team, I'm trading them away.
Yeah, probably not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed or Terry?
Terry.
That's tougher for me.
Rashid Shaheed is only ever going to be the wide receiver 2. JSN is never leaving the Seahawks. So if Rashid is only ever the wide receiver 2, that's what he was in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And what was he worth in New Orleans? Not a lot, because you never knew when you were going to start him. So if you could trade Rashid Shaheed to go get McLaurin for the next, 2 years of normal McLaurin production, forget this year. This year is lost. But 2 more years of normal McLaurin, I will take over whatever Shaheed is going to do, because I'm not confident ever starting him a week.
Shaheed has had Derek Carr, Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shuck at quarterback. He's going to Sam Darnold, who throws the ball 35-plus times a game. I think he's going to a really better opportunity for him. This is going to be if he's actually a good player or not.
But he's going to be the wide receiver 2.
Which is okay. Yeah. There's a lot of good wide receivers. Jalen Waddle has more value than most people. So is Devontae Smith.
The problem is that JSN has like a 50 or 60% target share.
Because
so
nobody's
even
been
if
they don't have anybody else.
Even if he loses some of that and it does go to Shaheed, Shahid's play is still a big boomer bust type guy. So you're telling me he's just suddenly going to become this all-pro, amazing wide receiver?
I didn't say all-pro, but I mean,
tons of receptions every game, and he's balling out, and you can start him every week, because I don't think you're ever going to be able to start him on a weekly basis consistently.
You start Devontae Adams right now on a weekly basis. You start Devontae Smith on a weekly basis. When the Seahawks had Tyler Lockett, you played him on a weekly basis.
Different.
Tyler Lockett and Rashid Shaheed are the exact same player, just 7 years
three
difference.
Players and no one else.
Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin, that's what they do.
You're referencing old offenses that have nothing to do with this current offense.
It's number 2 wide receivers.
Number 2 wide receivers.
I think I lean Haven's side here. And I think it's dependent on whether you're a real rebuilding team or a competing team. If you are the competing team, you take Terry. If you are the rebuilding team, you take Rashid Shaheed.
I would love to sell Rashid Shaheed to any of y'all.
I like Rashid Shaheed for the aspect of he is the boom bust guy. So it does not matter if JSN's target share is ridiculous. It's not going to stay at the 50% that we've seen it. That's not historically possible.
I'm just telling you, you're never going to know when to start him.
And that's fine.
I know next year and the year after, I know when I'm going to be able to start Terry.
Who would you rather have?
He was sucked in the beginning half of this year when he was healthy.
We're not talking about this year. After this year does not matter. I'm talking about
always matters.
Next year.
Every year matters.
I'm talking about next year when he's back fully healthy with a healthy Jaden Daniels. That's what I'm talking about. And Mason just said their defense is going to be terrible. That's what I want. I know confidently I'm going to be able to start Terry for the next 2 years over Rashid Shaheed.
I'm going to give you the last person because this one may be easier. Terry or Romeo Doubs?
Terry. Okay. Easy.
The
stat that I always like bringing up with Rashid Shaheed is this was brought up in the offseason, and it was the fact that Jamison Williams and Rashid Shaheed have played the exact same amount of games. Rashid Shaheed outpaced Jamison Williams in receptions and yards and touchdowns and fantasy points and all of it. And we value Jamison Williams well above Rashid Shaheed. When they were drafted in the same draft class, played the same amount of games, and Rashid Shaheed had been the better player on a worse offense. So now that he has the opportunity on a better offense, does he take that step up? So
Jamison Williams is still calculated 700 more points on KTC than Rashid. I didn't realize Rashid was 27.
And you can ask anybody that owns Jamison Williams if they're happy that they have him right now.
Yeah. It's a little different this year than last year. All right, boys. Let's move on to our starts of the week. Let's get into some weekend matchups. Haven, would you like to start us off with your quarterback start of the week?
So I'm going to ride this train. Did it last week. I'm picking the quarterback against the Steelers. Well, Daniel Jones, he had 3 interceptions. He had a fumble. He still gave you decent production, okay? He had 15 points. He just made a lot of mistakes. But there is one guy in this league right now who's swinging it, and he is swinging it everywhere, and his name is Justin Herbert. If you got Justin Herbert, you picked them all. You're having to choose between him or some other quarterback. Put Justin Herbert in your lineup. This is a simple one. He's going to go off. He's going to have a boom game. 25 points minimum. Calling it now. Put Herbert in your lineup.
Daniel Jones last week had 15 fantasy points with 3 interceptions.
Wild.
He and a fumble. He did that because of his rushing ability.
Yep.
You know who leads the league in rushing from a quarterback?
Is it Justin Herbert?
It's Justin Herbert.
I didn't even realize that part.
Yep.
Never would have guessed. Never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
So I would expect to see that this week. I think it's so safe to play Justin Herbert this week because he has that baseline for rushing. And we saw it last week. Even if you turn the ball over, you can still put up big numbers against these Steelers.
And he's on a heater, man. So he's been QB2, QB3, and QB4 the last 3 weeks. I mean, he's
easy to do when you got a hot girlfriend, man. Madison Beer is fueling him to greatness.
Dalton, who's your quarterback start of the week?
I'm going Jared Goff. I know he can be very hit or miss. He's kind of a lot like Caleb Williams, except he doesn't run, which is a little scary because they can both just suddenly implode for less than 10, but they can also have a nuclear game where they go over for 30. The Commanders look broken right now. They just look shattered. I imagine this is a game where the Lions control the ball a lot, and they're going to have a lot of scoring, and I think there's a good possibility that Jared Goff does that through the air. There's always the possibility they could get it done on the ground, but it's a very good matchup for quarterbacks, so I'm going Jared Goff. He's a reasonable guy to where he might be your QB2, and if you have a better option, please, by all means, don't start Jared Goff over your locked-in starter But if Jared Goff's on the waiver and you need somebody, I would definitely pick him up and start him this week.
Love it. All right, boys. I am going dirty with all of my picks this week. It's gonna be dirty. QB start of the week is JJ McCarthy. I'm going all in on the first round pick.
9. You got that 9 mentality?
That's right. I'm going that 9. I still don't understand it. Can you explain it to me? Because I don't understand it.
Because he's number 9. So he's saying he separates JJ McCarthy, the human, from number 9, the football player. So
God, it's happening. We're having to be explained Gen Z slang.
More numbers like 6, 7 going over my head. Cool. 9. My boy, JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to have a good game against the Ravens. The Ravens have given up a lot of fantasy points over the past couple, or over the year. The past couple weeks have been a little better for the Ravens. But I think this is going to be a shootout. I'm just going with the high over under for the Vikings and Ravens. Obviously, I wouldn't start him over your locked-in guys. JJ McCarthy probably isn't your locked-in guy, but if you have a quarterback on bye this week like Dak Prescott and JJ was your backup, I would be starting comfortably JJ McCarthy. Haven, let's circle back up to you for your running back start of the week.
This one is sketchy.
It's going to make Dalton happy.
I got some questions. It is Travion Henderson.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this one, but let's see. Let's hear it.
So the Bucks are giving up an average of 17.25 points per game to running backs. In the 6 to 8 weeks, they have given up 15 or more points to a running back. They were actually one of the worst rushing defenses in the league until they decided to play against the Saints last week, who didn't want to play football. They were terrible. The Saints had the second lowest time of possession in NFL history last week. That's how bad their offense was.
It's pretty bad.
Even worse than the Raiders we talked about a couple weeks ago. It was pretty bad.
So Haven, those are just numbers. Where does the matchup rank? Like, how do they do against running backs? Because looking on Sleeper, which is the app we play on the most, it looks like a bad matchup.
Falcons running backs 20 points. Texans running backs 17. That was Nick Chubb. Jets RB was 9. Eagles 15. Seahawks 19. 49ers 18. Lions 37. Saints 5. Now, these are also some really big names we're talking about. There's a Bijan in there. There's a Saquon. And I'm not saying Travion's that level of player, but the Bucks are going to let him have it, man. He's going to run the ball everywhere. I believe this week, Travion Henderson, I put my sticker on Brock Ballard last week coming back. Travion had a good week last week, finally, even though a Terrell Jennings touchdown took some points away. This week, Travion Henderson, if you're scared, don't be. Drink a beer, watch the game, have some fun. Travion's going to give you some points. And I'm talking 15 points. And he's going to get you 15. And that's the start of the week. So right now, Chase Brown's on bye, Devontae Williams on bye. There's a lot of running backs hurting. You're choosing probably between
Ray Davis
or Travion Henderson or RJ Harvey. I am choosing Travion Henderson this week.
Like it. Dalton, what about you?
So I don't know if you sold me, Haven, but I'm glad that you said it because I need my boy Travion to get it rolling. I'm sick of this. I'm ready for him to get going.
One thing I'd like to add, if we remember, Dalton, back when we were living together in college, who was the running back for the Titans that we had the slap bet?
It was Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis.
Dion Lewis. It took forever for Derrick Henry in his rookie year to get going. And it's
painful.
And it's Derrick Henry versus Dion Lewis. That's absurd to think of now, but we had this bet to talk about who would have more fantasy points at the end of the year, Dion Lewis or Derrick Henry. We made this bet like 4 or 5 weeks into the season because Dion Lewis was outpacing Derrick Henry and they just wouldn't give him the work. It ended up being...
I still owe you a slap from something too.
Yeah, you got to slap me with something. It ended up being Derrick Henry at the end of the year that won out the bet. We're going to spin the wheel.
We spun the wheel, people. It's a waffle. I have to slap him with a waffle. For all of you that just heard that, he said something, I can confirm. It's supposed to be a waffle. So before any of you dirty-minded people, I'm supposed to hit him with a waffle.
Mason's supposed to slap me with the frozen pizza.
Yeah, to give the listeners an idea, in college, we would make bets. And we were poor in college, so we didn't want to bet money. But we wanted to do something that was substantial. So we had a wheel of slappable food that if you lost the bet, we would spin the wheel and whatever it landed on, the winner got to slap the loser with it. So it could be anything pizza, waffles.
I've been
Sandwich.
slapping the Subway sandwich.
Subway sandwich, spaghetti was one of them. It was hysterical. It was so fun. We need to get that back on here. We need to have a wheel on this podcast.
And the one caveat of the slap is you get to pick and choose when and where you want to slap them. And you're lucky I didn't pick your wedding day because that would have been glorious.
Yeah. I've slapped Dalton once with a 18-inch sub sandwich from Jimmy John's. It was glorious. He got meatball on his ears.
I had to go shower after that. Back to the pod. My start of the week at running back is Judkins. Quayshawn Judkins is going to smash the Jets defense that just sold their entire defense away.
I love this.
He's healthy. He's practicing. I was worried about the shoulder thing. Apparently you shouldn't be because he's back practicing in full now. So I'm not worried at all. He's going to tear apart the Jets defense.
Completely agree there, Dalton. All right, I'm going to get into my running back starts of the week. And that is, we've talked about this guy, Kyle Monangai. He is playing the Giants. The Giants are the 30th. So very good, or I guess very good matchup for running backs. I think even if Swift plays, and he looks like he is, he's going to be a great start of the week, or a great flex play. Staying in that same matchup, I think Darius Slayton, he is my wide receiver start of the week. I think he is it's a stinky, but I think he could be, I'm starting him in a league, in a dynasty league where I have a lot of people on bye. So I'm putting it out there. I think he's okay to start this week. He is a deep threat guy. And I think this could be a matchup, that has a lot of points. I trust Jackson Dart, to get him the ball. So I'm putting it out there. I'm starting Darius Slayton. I think he's an okay flex this week with a lot of people on bye. Dalton, who is your wide receiver start of the week?
Yeah, I like that. He's a very good emergency start, like an Alec Pierce or a Troy Franklin.
I said all my guys are stinky.
Yeah.
So
Stinky.
I want to give you some options of guys that might be on the waiver wire.
My wide receiver is Romeo Dobbs.
Stinky.
Quietly just been having a very consistent, very trustable stat line. I mean, every week he's putting up at least 10, and then he's shown you he can score 3 touchdowns in a game. He's not going to do that every game, but I mean, he's playing in prime time against the Eagles. They have had injury after injury to their receivers. So, I mean, it's just constantly, it's Romeo Dobbs. He's the main guy. And so if he's going to be the main guy and he's going to get, 8 targets a week, I'll start him. I mean, I'll finally flex that guy. I don't love it because of the name value, but I mean, if he's going to get 8 targets a week and he's their main guy in prime time, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll start the big head gang.
It's the hat,
rise
man.
up.
If it wasn't the big helmet pad,
It's the concussion helmet that gets me. I can't start them and feel good about it.
It's like 3 times too big. It's hilarious.
The one last week with the throwbacks was perfect. I honestly loved it.
I mean, five of the last 6 weeks, he's had 8+ targets. And the one week he didn't, he had 6. So, I mean, like, he's incredibly dependable. Like, he's a great flex guy. If you need a start, you can absolutely start Romeo Dobbs.
Like it. All right, Haven, wide receiver.
Mine's a guy that's been very frustrating for a lot of our listeners is Nico Collins. Davis Mills is going to be a quarterback this week. So a lot of people are wondering, is this guy actually going to be a solid option? I'm starting Nico Collins this week. They're playing the Jaguars. The number one option for a wide receiver against the Jaguars averaged 21.5 points a game. So they get some big booms. There's more games with 30 plus points than there are with less than 12. That is a fun stat. This is a week. Put him in your lineup. Count on him. Nico's going to do you a solid. It's not going to be the rebirth in Nico Collins, but it's going to be a good week for him.
We haven't seen that boom game from Nico this year, which we've seen in the past couple. So I like that confident start, even with Davis Mills, with Stroud being out with a concussion. I agree completely.
He came in early last week, and Nico still got 11 targets. So, I mean, Mills knows to get the ball to Nico.
So, and then my tight end of the week, Dalton Kincaid. He's had 4 top 10 weeks so far. Even last week with only like 30% of snaps. That snap percentage should go up this week. They play the Dolphins, who give up only about 10. They average 9.78 against a tight end. But just with Jake Ferguson on bye, there's not too many options. But Dalton Kincaid has been a solid play for a lot of weeks. He's a boomer bust guy. He either does really good or really bad. This will be a boom week. Dalton Kincaid.
That's my kinfolk.
Kinfolk.
He's gonna have a good
Dalton.
week.
I love
The
it.
amount of Daltons that are in the league right now is crazy. I mean, I would say an uncommon name, but there are a lot of Daltons in the NFL. So our grand scheme of taking over the world and accomplishing world domination is slowly but surely happening.
It's coming. All right, Dalton. Who's your tight end start of the week?
It's what? My start of the week is Kyle Pitts. Again, every week
You can't stop talking about him.
I'm starting Kyle Pitts. 3 weeks in a row of 7 targets. Not to mention, who are the Falcons going against? The Colts. Who did the Colts just get? Sauce Gardner. He's going to be guarding Drake London. I fully expect Drake London to still be Drake London, but he's going to have more frustration now that Sauce Gardner is going to be covering him. Who's their wide receiver too? It's supposed to be Darnell Mooney. He hasn't done anything. It's actually Kyle Pitts because he's getting targeted out the wazoo. So this could easily be a game. It's over in Germany, I believe, or it's in Europe. This could easily be a game where Kyle Pitts again gets heavily targeted and gets used very, very well. He's such a solid tight end. If you don't have a start, you can absolutely roll Kyle Pitts out there every week.
I love that idea with Sauce now guarding Drake London. My tight end start of the week also has to do with a trade that happened. It is Juwan Johnson versus the Panthers. Panthers are 25th against tight ends. We're seeing that Rashid Shaheed got traded to the Seahawks, so there's going to be more opportunity for targets among the Saints. We know the Saints always play from behind. They're going to be passing the ball. I think Juwan Johnson, we've seen him his first 3 weeks of the year. He had over 10 fantasy points. He had a lull for the middle 3, and in the past 3, he's seen more than 10 fantasy points for the past 3 weeks, so I think he is a decent start this week. All right, let's get into some start-sit roundtable. I'm going to give you some guys. You can tell me whether you're comfortable starting them or not, or whether you would sit them. We actually had one from a listener that responded to our TikTok, so let's go through this. J.J. McCarthy, who is my start of the week, versus Aaron Rodgers, Dalton's start of the week from last week. I'll go ahead and tell you I'd be starting J.J. McCarthy.
I agree.
I agree.
He's only had 2.5 games, but in 2 of those games, J.J. McCarthy does run the ball. He's had a rushing touchdown in both those games. He played completely healthy in. He gives you a little more rushing ability, which is going to make it a little bit more exciting. And Rodgers, they're playing the Chargers. That game could be a high-scoring game, but the Chargers' secondary is going to make it a little bit more challenging on Aaron Rodgers. And the rushing, Jalen Warren should have a pretty solid week. So if I had a choice, I'd be going JJ over Aaron this week.
Yeah, for me,
Completely
it's the over-under. The over-under in that Vikings-Ravens game is one of the highest of the week. So I would, just from the over-under alone, I would pick JJ in an offense that I much more believe in a higher over-under where they're hopefully going to have to put up points. So I would go JJ over Rodgers.
Love it. All right, one name I wanted to bring up that is a hot name but has had a couple of down weeks, and that is Tyler Warren. So he is playing the Texans this week, who are number 1 against tight ends. And over the past 2 weeks, he's had 7.
You mean Atlanta? He's playing the
Falcons.
Yeah, he's playing the Falcons, who are number 1 against against tight ends in fantasy. Past 2 weeks, he hasn't had great weeks. So I wanted to ask, are y'all still comfortable? Is he a absolutely locked in tight end this week? Because I, in our cut-through league, picked up Colston Loveland and having had make that decision. Am I starting Loveland after this big week? He's a rookie tight end. Maybe he's coming to fruition as the year comes on. Should I be super comfortable in starting?
You should be comfortable starting Tyler Warren. I mean, he's had a good season, maybe a couple tough weeks. Daniel Johnson didn't have the best week last week, so I'm not too worried. I would rather have a guy who's been consistent all year than Colston Loveland, who's had one good week the whole season. It's just put Tyler Warren in the lineup. If he does a good week, you're happy.
The hope with Colston Loveland is that Komet misses, but apparently he's progressing incredibly fast through concussion protocol and probably will play.
Let's roll through some guys that might be some options. Tyler Warren or Kyle Pitts?
Tyler Warren.
Probably Warren.
Tyler Warren or Juwan Johnson?
Tyler Warren.
Warren.
I'm not benching Tyler Warren unless I have a Rondé. That's maybe the one tough one.
That's the exact name I was thinking of. I would probably go Rondé over Warren just because of the bad matchup and because Rondé has been just incredibly good for back-to-back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the only one.
I tend to agree with you. I'm just starting to get a little nervous after back-to-back weeks.
Let
I'm
it be
personally
back to back
experiencing it.
before you're nervous. Let it be back to back to back.
All right, like it. All right, are we confident in starting Parker Washington this week against the Houston Texans, who are also number 1 against that position, wide receivers? Are we confident?
Yes,
Trevor
I would
Lawrence has
say
to throw the
so.
ball to somebody. He has
I
to
would
throw
say
to somebody.
so. In a PPR league, I think you can start Parker Washington if you really need a start. He's had 2 weeks in a row of I think plus 8 or 9 targets.
He had 9
he's had a
targets
lot of
last
targets.
week, yeah.
2 weeks in a row. Brian Thomas is not playing. Travis Hunter is not playing. Jacoby Myers just got there. I do not think he's going to be immediately the number 1. So Parker Washington, who's done it for 2 weeks in a row with a high amount of targets, is probably going to be the number 1 guy. The Texans, they're so scary because Derek Stingley at corner, who's more of a shadow corner, who plays outside receivers, is what's so scary. Parker Washington is going to be playing in the slot. So I'm much more comfortable playing him than I am Jacoby.
Parker Washington or Hunter Henry in a tight end premium league?
Oh, God.
Oh, Parker Washington, dude. Nah.
Tight end premium.
What's the premium?
So
it's 1 point. It's usually 1.5.
This league specific, I'm asking this because I'm making this decision. It's tight end premium gets 0.75 points per reception. It's a half point. It's a half point league.
You pulled this question out of your butt. That's why it stinks so bad.
Yeah. Hunter Henry has not had more than 10 points since week 4.
He's been so hit or miss.
He's had. No, I'm not playing him. Play Parker
Washington. All right. I'm playing Parker Washington. I'm gonna come back to you guys if that decision is not a good decision.
I guess Parker Washington, but I hate that question.
All right. Are we confident in starting Tyrone Tracy or Devin Singletary for the Giants?
Neither.
Neither? If you had to start one.
I hate that question too.
If I had to start one, I'm giving Tracy 1 more week.
Yeah. Tracy
Singletary was the better back last week.
He was the better back.
Tracy was the starter.
Yeah. I'm giving Tracy
It looked
1
like
more
Singletary just got better usage on his carries, and so they just kind of kept giving him the ball, and he broke off some bigger runs. This is another one of the situations of maybe we don't know what the backup is. So maybe this isn't that worth of a backup to roster. So if anybody still thinks that Tracy is the backup, go get something for him. You probably should have traded him a week ago, but if anybody still thinks that Tracy is the backup, you could probably go trade him. But this looks like a gross 2-man backfield that I want no part of.
Yeah. We saw it last year. This was the same competition last year before Cam Scotty got there. And Tracy was the guy for the majority of the year. So even though Singletary had the better game last week, I would trust Tracy more in this matchup. Both of them are gross, but Tracy is the guy I have more confidence in.
Yep.
All right, guys. We've had a good show. Looking forward to our Week 10 matchups. And we'll be back on Monday to discuss.
Like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok and Twitter at FFB Addicts.
Thanks, guys.